Hello and welcome to Cheppy Today. I'm Will and I'll be going through some of the most talked about topics in crypto. If you want to be kept up to date with the discussion, remember to leave a like and subscribe. So usually we would bring you a few topics, but after what happened yesterday, there's only one thing we could talk about. That's right, Kate Middleton looked exactly like Prince Louis as a baby. No, obviously we're going to be talking about the recent Bitcoin Cash war and the market crash.
What am I gonna do?
So there's been the almost inescapable news that Bitcoin Cash is hard forking. There's a lot to digest, so let's do a little recap. So the Bitcoin Cash protocol is set to upgrade every 6 months. And usually there's a consensus around this and it goes through without a hitch. Until now. So Craig Faketoshi Wright disagreed with the Bitcoin ABC proposal, stating that it could veer Bitcoin Cash away from its utility as cash. So this led him to create a opposing proposal called Satoshi's Vision, or SV. So SV's main proposal was to increase the block size to 128 megabytes. This has been something that's seen as a little bit dangerous, as it could lead to centralization. That's because bigger blocks require more work, meaning that bigger mining companies could monopolize the network. Thus we have the so-called hash wars, a fight between two opposing development teams within the Bitcoin Cash camps. The reason hash power is so important here is because hash power equals votes. The more hash power accrued by either side, the more dominance that network has. So each of the opposing proposals have mining pools on their side. SV has CoinGeek and ABC has Bitmain. There are many other pools in favour of each side, but for the most part it looked like SV had the majority of the hash power. So the Bitcoin Cash hash war has been propagated by infighting between many different people on different sides. But recently it's been fueled by Roger Ver and Craig Wright, and the war escalated to epidemic proportions. So in order to gain back some lost ground, Roger Ver pointed all of Bitcoin.com's mining pool hash power towards ABC. This included the hash power of users who were mining BTC at the time, something which calls the legality of what Ver did into question. In retaliation, Wright threatened to crash the price of Bitcoin to $1,000 if any more miners switched from BTC to ABC. So I've said it before and I'll say it again, this is a battle of egos, and it's kind of ruining the space. 1 second. F you, Faketoshi. F you, Roger Ver. You're ruining the space for everyone. F you. Sorry about that. I thought I heard someone at the door. Where was I? So how are they ruining the space? Well, first of all, this war is probably the reason for the market crash. So let's get something straight. This isn't technically a crash, but dip doesn't really give the gravitas it needs to make it newsworthy. So what makes it a dip? Well, for starters, this has happened many times before. So Wednesday the 14th saw 20 billion wiped off cryptocurrency's total market cap. Interestingly, a similar amount was wiped off back in July, but crypto carried on because it was just a dip. So granted, we're at a yearly low, but conversely, Bitcoin capitulation could be quite good for the space. Some believe that a heavy correction could lead to the mass wipeout of cryptocurrencies, and that fallout of this would set the wheat from the chaff. In that sense, we would see a lot of the coins go and keep some of the fundamental projects that are doing well in the space ready to innovate and grow. The growth potential of survivors could be unprecedented. So an instance of this happened in the dot-com bubble in the 2000s, which saw a lot of companies go from hero to zero in a matter of weeks. But the companies that survived not only had really good business models, but they were also the first movers, so companies that came about in the first 6 months of the dot-com bubble. This kind of gives a lot of hope for the top 10 and even some in the top 100. Regardless of this, there's always one mantra that I cite whenever this kind of dip happens, and that's zoom out. Take a look at the charts and zoom out. Things may feel pretty dire right now, but it's all relative. There's far too much going on in this space for it to be the end. Firstly, we have Fidelity coming into the space in January with their crypto custody, which could see some institutional money finally materialize. Secondly, we have BAT coming in next month, which is going to ease these institutions into the crypto ecosystem in a regulated and legitimate way. Thirdly, we have still the potential of an ETF on the tables. This space is being taken more seriously by the SEC thanks to ventures like BAT and Fidelity. And lastly, this crash has seen a lot of weak hands being shaken out, meaning that the people who didn't necessarily believe in the tech or the ideology are gone. It's better to lose these people now as opposed to when we're on the way back up. But as always, we'd love to hear your take on the stories discussed. What do you think of the Bitcoin Cash hash war? Did you sell? Did you hold? Did you buy? So leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.